The market trades sideways as we wait for resolution. Will it be an indecisive week? This is Invest with Jacob. Okay, guys, so indecision remains the name of the game up here around 4,400 as the market continues to trade sideways to slightly up in this resistance zone we've been talking about over the last week. So now the question is, are they just going to take the whole week and make it indecision, or will they finally make a move? I'll get into that in just 1 second, but first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP 500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, before we jump into the charts, another great day in the room. Even though the market is trading sideways, we're finding great day trades to get into. As you can see on the screen, people did very well today. If you want to be part of this winning team, I'm not sure what you're waiting for, but now is the time to jump in. Stay tuned for later in the video for that. For now, let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 1-hour futures chart for the S&P 500. We're going to stay on the 1-hour chart here. If you want to see a bigger picture view, check out Monday's video where I covered the overview of the big picture and where we're at and what we're expecting to see. And essentially, guys, we're still trading sideways here in this blue box that I defined as heavy resistance, which is proving to be true. They have grinded slowly higher in it, but this is going to be a strong area for the bulls to get through, and we would more likely see a pullback than not from this blue box. The question is, will they continue to push up toward the top of it, or will they kind of just go sideways until they finally break down? The overall idea is that how high they push is kind of irrelevant. It's all about the pullback, and we've been talking about this all week. The pullback will tell the story once we get one. They came down and tested the bottom end of this area, which is the support right here. That's at about 43.70 or so where they came into today. 43.64 would be the level to break. If they break that, they got a pretty straight shot down to 43.30. And then we can start talking about the pullback being underway. But until we break through 43.64, pressure can still remain up here, or at least sideways, grinding away until we finally see some resolution. So the market just kind of in a sideways, poking higher, poking lower, and this kind of in this sideways chop for now until we see some kind of resolution. Now, when I say the pullback tells the story, what I mean is a corrective three-wave pullback where you get an ABC type structure, okay, would tell us we need at least one more high. And we can get one more high up here in a wave C and then see a failure down from there. And a pullback in a five-wave structure would mean that we should continue lower. So we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get a little bounce and then down in the bigger crash toward the 3,500 area, if that is what is going to play out. Again, the NASDAQ making that very difficult to see right now. But overall, this is what we're looking for on the ES. Each chart on its own, the ES is still favoring this count, and that is still the primary we would be looking for. Again, if we get a three-wave pullback, they can still go a little higher. So what we'd look for is a three-wave pullback and then a C-wave up and then down. That would be perfectly acceptable in this count. It would be a little tougher for the NASDAQ to follow that pattern. And when I say at least one more high, what I mean is this can be the A leg of A. Then you get a B down. Then a C leg to complete an A up toward 4,600 or so, 4,700. Then you get a B wave pullback, and then you get a bigger C wave up toward that 4,900, and we see slightly new all-time highs where the market kind of gets us that fifth wave higher, and then from there we would start to see a pretty strong down move. So when I say at least one more high, that's what I mean. We should see, if they give us a three-wave pullback here, we should see at least one high, and then we could potentially see them start the down move from there. Or we may see another high where we get a B wave and then a bigger C wave up that would push us to 4,900 again, maybe even as high as 5,000. I think that might be a little high, but in that area for a new all-time high before seeing the downturn. Now, the overall path to the downside is still the primary until proven otherwise, but this is something to keep an eye on, especially the higher we push on this initial move off of this low down here. So overall, everything is still similar to yesterday, still waiting for a pullback, and when we see that pullback, that will tell us what we're looking for next. Over on the NASDAQ, okay, on the NASDAQ, slightly different setup. We are looking for this to be a wave 4 and a bigger diagonal. Again, if you want to see the bigger picture on that, check out Monday's video. I go over it in depth on what I'm talking about. But this bigger wave 4 is really at the peak. This 15,450 area right at the 618 is coming up deep into this wave 1 territory. So here's your wave 1 low. We would be up into here. And once you get up past that bottom third of wave one, diagonals tend to not play out. So as you push up into wave one, this is expected in a diagonal. As you continue to push, actually this is wave one over here, as you continue to push up, the diagonal playing out becomes much less likely. So they are in this area right here. Anything much higher than this, I mean, maybe this wave four high, I can give them up to 15,518. That would be really stretching it for the diagonal to the downside to play out. So I would be concerned if I was a bear with where the NASDAQ is, as if they continue to push, it is going to make the downside pattern look a lot less likely. So this 15,450 area is the area of importance on the NASDAQ. If they get much above that, 15,550, 15,600, then I would be very skeptical of seeing the downside pattern in the diagonal play out. Now, the NASDAQ does not have the benefit of the pullback telling the story like the ES does because we are in a diagonal count. So if we're going to go lower or higher, both waves will be corrective three-wave formats. So we don't have the differentiator of 3 and 5 waves. So if we're going to get a pullback to the downside, you'd look for an A, B, C for A, then a B leg, and then C down toward the 13,600 area. And if we're going to go higher, you'd get an A, B, C down, but it'd be a little shallower. And that would be a wave 2, and then you'd look for a 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and a breakout, and 3 of 3, eventually taking us up toward the 17,000 plus area to give us a new high on the NASDAQ as well. So the bullish counts are still live. They are still available. The NASDAQ never broke its pivot. That's an important thing to remember. So we are still in a valid standard bull count to the upside on the NASDAQ should they follow through. Again, the primary count is to the downside, but if the bulls continue to push, then they take advantage and they will become the primary count fairly soon. Guys, if you like the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link. It'll take you right over to the website. Once you're there, check out our membership plans area. We have 2 incredible monthly plans, and both of them come with a 7-day free trial because I want you to get in there. I want you to make sure you love it, become part of our trading team, and make sure it's for you before you ever spend a penny. You can cancel at any time. We also have our Elliott Wave for Beginners course. This course is helping real traders make real money and understand the market in a way that finally makes sense. As you can see in the comments, it's helping traders immensely. And the thing is, when Jerome Powell comes out last week and is extremely hawkish and the market rockets higher, we were ready for that move higher because of Elliott Wave Theory. But why would hawkish behavior make the market go higher? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Elliott Wave makes sense of that. It makes sense of good news making the market go down and bad news making the market go up so that you know the key levels, you know how to trade them, and you know what you're looking for in a market that doesn't make sense. This course is 25 videos where I go over 3 parts. First is the introduction. It's the Elliott Wave expectations, your mindset and emotion, the KISS method, and why it works. Then an extremely important part, the chart setup and tools. It's all the tools you need to use along with Elliott Wave Theory, how to use them, why to use them, and why they work, so that you can confirm what you're looking at. And then finally, the Elliott Wave for Beginners area, where I go through each of the waves, where their confirmation points are, where their failure points are, what they look like when they're right, what they look like when they fail, and how to use them. We have the corrective depth theory, the pivot, the theory of alternation, corrective zigzag, Elliott Wave degrees, everything you need to make sense of a market that's irrational. The really cool thing is, if you don't want to pay $67 for the course, I completely understand. It comes free with both monthly memberships. So, like I said, if you don't want to pay, you can become a monthly member and you get free access to the Elliott Wave for Beginners course. In our first room, the Invest with Jacob room, you get all of my real-time market updates, all of my buy and sell alerts, all of your Elliott Wave questions answered, a midday video where I go over exactly where we are in the counts and what to expect, as well as the training material you just saw. We trade the SPY and the QQQ, and we day and swing trade, and we do quite well in my room. But if you are looking for individual stocks, futures trading, and advanced methods, you need to check out PT's Throne Room. In there, you get everything you get in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as individual stocks, day trading, and PT's reduced risk binary method that absolutely crushes the market. He gets you in at a cheap price and gets you big multiples on your money, and it's how he structures his trades. It's so unique. It's really something you have to see to understand, and that's another reason for that 7-day free trial. We also started a challenge account where PT put $4,000 into an account trading mini ES futures, averaging 3 to 4% gains per week, showing you how to build a small account into a large retirement or savings account. Guys, we would love to have you in these rooms. so we can all make money together. Okay, key takeaways for today. The grind continues in the blue box until we see a break of 43.64. The market and pressure will remain sideways to up. If they blow through that box, then we have something different on our hands. But again, no matter how high they push it, the pullback will tell the story. 3 waves, and we'll look for at least one more high. 5 waves, and we look more directly lower. Over on the NASDAQ, NASDAQ is up at the top level of its move. 15,450 is the level they need to hold. Much above that, and the bearish count becomes very ugly and unlikely. If they can hold and push down, we would be looking for a 3-wave count in either structure, so we won't have the benefit of knowing that the pullback will tell the story on the NASDAQ, but we would want to see them break 14,441 to give us an idea that we're heading down toward that 13,600 area. Guys, that is your market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.